Hello everybody, back here again for another Idiot's Guide to Woodworking, and today we're going to go ahead and try and make a Adirondack chair out of the cheapest possible way we can come up with. It's not going to be the most artistic, not going to be the most funky, so it's going to be a very sturdy, very economical chair. I'm going to actually be using some wood I picked up at Home Depot, actually Menards it was, I might have been Home Depot, one of the two. This is just cedar wood. It's the dog-eared planks. You can see here at the top, it's got a little bit of a weird shape to it. This is fencing. This stuff, I believe, was like $2 and some change a piece, and we're gonna keep track of exactly how many I put into each chair, that we'll know exact price. I'll get the final and I'll put it either in a notes or I'll throw a little picture up here of the actual total cost. I'll throw a page on. So pretty much what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run this through my joiner. I don't have a planer, so I'm going to use my joiner as a planer. You'll see what I'm doing, trying to smooth it out a little bit better, because if you notice, I'm not sure how well it's going to show up here. I'll take a couple photos of it, but this board is super rough. I mean, it's got a lot of, you know, fir type stuff to it, real rough sawn wood, which is one of the reasons why it's so cheap. If you don't have a joiner or a planer, see if you got a neighbor, a local guy who does a little woodworking in your neighborhood, maybe your church, that'll let you borrow one, or even just take it over to his place, take some, you know, sodas, maybe some burgers, grill them up on his grill while you're running through his planer or joiner, and try and knock it out that way. If you don't have one, don't fret. The first chair I built, I did not use the joiner at all. My test build, I just went ahead and used my belt sander, which is a generic tool brand. I think it's Tool Shop brand from Menards also, like 20, 25 bucks. Super cheap, so a guy can make it work. And I'll show you how I do that, because there's some of these boards, I've already ran through a bunch, but there's some of them that I didn't feel like taking that much off to make it truly smooth, so I'll smooth out that dip. So once I figure out where they're going on the chair is where I need to put them for having the amount of wood that needs to be sanded, because it's going to be in the bottom side of the chair base where your butt is. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Just sand down the top, not the bottom. I ran both sides through already. But I'm going to go ahead and set this up. I'm going to show you how I'm doing it. And then we're going to plane off the top and the bottom. Then we're going to go ahead and actually joint the edges to get rid of this really ugly, I don't know if you guys will see this either here, this really ugly edge here. I'm going to go ahead and run a couple passes on the joiner also to clean that up too. So anyway, I'll go ahead and show you that real quick, and I'll be back in a second.
I was very interested in this.
Hello everybody. One of the things I didn't mention earlier is I did not mention wearing ear protection. This joiner makes a ton of noise. Put those on. If you're listening to a radio like I am, I'm listening to a podcast through an old home stereo out here in the garage. Definitely you can turn it up a little louder, and it's amazing how you can drown out the sound of the joiner but still hear it. No longer this is running, just ignore the radio for a little bit, put on your hearing protection, run it through. If you're wearing headphones like earbuds and stuff, listening to your iPod or whatever, definitely great way to do it by throwing the headphones, the earmuffs over top of that. You can turn your volume down on your headphones and get a great sound quality while still drowning out the sound of the router, the joiner, router, whatever you're using. So also one of the things I had on is I was wearing some gloves. A lot of people say not to use any type of glove or anything like that when you're around a moving circular type blade. It can hook, it can pull. I have on long sleeves. I pulled them up slightly a little bit while I'm going over there. I feel pretty safe. I've been around tools like this for a few years now. Nothing real major. Well, I used a tool like this back in high school, and then I had it now for, I don't know, probably 3 projects I've used. It's still fairly new to me, but I feel really safe around the product. Definitely, if you don't feel comfortable using something, don't use it. Just ask for help, ask somebody to teach you, that kind of thing. So what I'm going to show you now is what I've made for a mess off this joiner. The kind of amount of shavings come off. Depending on what kind of wood you're using, you can use this mulch around your flowers and stuff, around your garden. This is cedar, which can be deadly to some plants, so I'm actually going to use it as a weed guard where I'm wanting nothing to grow anyway underneath some, like payther type things where it's going to go in my yard. So I want it to kill everything in that spot. So we'll see what happens. And this right here is just a cheap joiner I picked up off Craigslist. I think it was 125 bucks. It's a Craftsman brand. It's doing its job. It's a little 6-inch joiner, nothing major. But what it's done, you can see on the floor there's a mess out here. It's not too bad, but it's made a mess. I put a box in there to make it easier not to scoop it all up. I got my bucket there also, which is full. And then over here is my earlier stuff I scooped off the floor before I thought to put the stuff underneath it. So this has not got a dust collection, nothing fancy like that at all. Like I said, it's just a few bucks. I thought making myself maybe a little like catch tray underneath there, but that's a different story down the road. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and go dump this, get this joiner cleaned up, get it blown off and sweeped up, and then I'll be back in a little bit to do the next step.